I'm Jeremy. I left New Zealand when I was 19 and went to London. And very shortly after I arrived in London, I was doing mime, ballet, contemporary dance classes. And then I got into the London School of Contemporary Dance. And during that time, a choreographer called Siobhan Davis
Mm.
asked me to join her company. And so I started working with her and an Australian called Ian Spink. They later joined uh, forces with Richard Alston and became Second Stride. At that time, I was seeing things like Trisha Brown, Twyla Tharp, uh, Bill T. Jones, Andy de Groot in London, and it so happened that Second Stride toured to the East Coast of the US. And after that tour, I was like, I really want to, that's where I want to go. That's where I want to visit. So I planned to go for 3 months, but I ended up by staying for decades. I started working with Stephen Petronio. I worked with him for 8 years. But after that time, I started making my own work. I took up the position of director of the dance education in the Danish School of Performing Arts.
Mhm.
So I was there for directed that education along with for part of the time along with Ursula Robb.
Oh,
I
that's
was
so cool.
really so lucky to have her with me. And then I came back to New York to join the faculty of Tisch and NYU's New York University's Tisch School of the Arts, the dance department. So I've been there for 10 years now. This
Mm.
is my 11th year.
The first year that you made a work,
Yeah,
I've got it down as 1998, and that was 1917 was the name of the work.
yes. Yeah, yes.
And the footage that I have, there's no like titles for each work. So I had to go through the whole show and be like, which one's Jeremy's?
I mean,
And I picked it straight away. I was like, that has to be Jeremy's. Can you tell me about that work? What was that work about?
one of the amazing things about Deirdre Tarrant was that when she said it's all about the process, it's not about the product, she actually meant it and you felt it.
Mm.
Um, so that was the work of a baby choreographer who she had faith in. And I chose, for some reason, this very severe music, which was Sofia Gubaidulina, I think. Um, and something about it really struck me. And in front of the Footnote Studios was a building that had 1917 on it,
Mm.
right in front of the Footnote building. So that kind of gave me ideas. And of course, the music is very kind of severe and belongs to that World War One era. It really helped give direction to the work, I guess, just seeing that 1917.
Mm.
Um, this building in front of the Footnote Studios.
The most recent work you made on the company in 2016 was called Bridges
Yeah,
and Doors, and
yeah,
that was a part of a season called Transfer, and the
yeah.
sort of premise was bringing back New Zealanders. So we brought you back
Right,
and
right. And Josh,
Joshua Rutter.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tell us about Bridges and Doors.
Bridges and Doors was kind of inspired by my cousin's husband. He was quite a prominent historian of the history of state housing in New
Mm.
Zealand. And so I used the idea of architectural blueprints, and that the first part of the work is like the dancers rolling. I
Mm.
would have, to tell you the truth, I would have had them rolled a lot longer, but I didn't want to torture them too much. So anyway, it's like rolling out blueprints, and then these kind of like as if you were peering in the rooms
Mm.
of an estate house seeing little domestic scenes.
Mm.
So there was that being fed into it, but then there was also how it worked, just abstractly, how things started to develop and how I liked things, the way things happened in space. There's a picture in that book, and in my cousin's book, which shows a Prime Minister of New Zealand who championed state housing carrying a table over the threshold of one of these state houses. And so I knew I had to include a table at some point in the piece. And then there's a whole section that's kind of built on the geometry of a table. Everything's for the 5 dancers, and everything's about making these right angles like or legs, like a table. So that's where, a lot of the influences from that piece came from.
And your work with Footnote has spanned, from 1998 through to 2016. I wonder if you noticed a difference between the company dancers and what they offered in terms of the movement and aesthetic from, the 90s through to the later group.
I mean, that's a good question. I always felt like Deirdre just had a great eye for great movers. And that was the thing that was constant all over, throughout the years. I always knew when she came up with an invitation to come back and work with Footnote that I'd have great dancers, that wasn't going to be an issue, that the material that she gave me was rich and variety as well. Like not cookie cutter homogenous kind of movers, but everybody had their very distinct personalities. And I think that that's something that she cultivated as well, where you would know that as well.
Absolutely. The unique individual that can still be a collective, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I've had, the pleasure of watching some of this footage, I noticed a much more use of the spine and the torso and the articulation of the body in comparison to previous works of your works. Which is something that we see a lot more now. I don't know what it's like over in the States, but very, very articulated and much more detailed rather than the full body form.
Right. I mean, it's probably partly to do with, because as you know, I always look at the processes with a company as being collaborative. So I'm introducing kind of prompts, if you like, and the dancers are creating material as well. So that's partly to do with the evolution of like you said, you see that more and more. It's kind of, sometimes, to tell you the truth, sometimes it gets too squiggly for me, and I'm just like, I want to see something a little bit more blocky, if you like. But I think that also reflects my kind of evolution from Petronio type material that, although he came from a background that was very, I don't know if you've ever seen work of Tricia Brown's Sim Petronio was in, but he sort of was one of those people who looked like they were made of liquid or something, like nothing hard in their body. They just everything articulated. But somehow he was in what he made for us. It could be a little bit more kind of like you say, everything moving together kind of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe it reflects my kind of evolution and moving away from that kind of material as well, and my preferences. I was fascinated always by his he was very interested in disrupting organic movement, organic pathways. And that's what made a lot of the choices that he made or had us make very unpredictable and surprising. But as a mover myself, I tend towards the more organic pathways. And maybe that's also something that you see coming out in the work, like indulging that part of my preferences a little bit more.
Having danced in one of your works, and now it's
Yes.
been re-mellowed.
No, yes.
I really enjoyed the playful nature of the movement, and also the sort of stylistically, the form of movement was quite different to what we were doing here in New
Mm,
Zealand. And so I really
mm.
appreciated that injection of that sort of. What were your influences in terms of form?
I mean, definitely, I danced for Stephen Petronio, and he had danced for Trisha Brown. So that kind of postmodern approach to composition, I guess, in terms of movement making, I felt like his influence dwelled in Stephen's influence dwelled in my body for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But but we had also been very much contributors to his work. So we had been encouraged to have our own kind of movement voice. There was a kind of trust in my organic choices.
Mm,
I enjoy playing around with bodies in space. I really love bodies covering space.
mm.
The way bodies can pass through and under and over. Partnering. I'm not sure if there was a lot of partnering in Remellowed.
There was, I can't remember, I think it was Remellowed, or maybe it was the one before Marshmallow. There was
Well,
a
yeah.
duet between two men. Maybe I think it was Lance and Andrew.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That
Yes, there
might have
was.
been Remellowed.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the story of that name? Because I think I know it, but I want you to tell it.
Well, I think it comes from there's a bakery across the Cuba Mall, right? And they had marshmallows. Now, I'm not sure where the marsh came from, but I like the kind of play on the words of the mellow part of it.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the bakery misspelt it when they were labeling
Oh, is
the
that what it was?
yeah.
Okay.
That was such a good bakery, the Friendly Bakery. Unfortunately, it's no longer there.
Yeah, it was. It was.